We're going to turn this enclosed trailer into an ice house. Hey, welcome to Go Midwest Fishing. My name's Randy. So if you can't afford an ice castle, well, this is going to be the next best thing. But we're going to keep it fairly simple. So let's go over this trailer and see what we're working with. First of all, you got to determine the size of an ice house you want. This is a 6 by 12 trailer. So it's 6 feet from outside to outside. So on the inside, it's a little bit smaller than that. It is 12 feet long, but it also has a V in the front that protrudes out 28 inches. So a little bonus space there. Next thing you notice, it's only got a single axle, and we chose this for a reason. There's no electric brakes or nothing. We're trying to keep this fairly simple, and we want it to be lightweight. Right now, one of the first things you're going to ask is, are you going to make an axle that drops down so the box will sit on the ice? And the answer is no, we're not going to do that. We're trying to keep this fairly simple, and that would add a lot more expense to it and just kind of complicate the whole thing. So it's not really needed. We're going to keep this more as a portable ice house. We're not going to really just leave it on the lake for days or weeks. We're just going to pull it out and pull it off the same day. Maybe sleep in it once in a while overnight, but for the most part, it's going to be fairly portable. And so what you will notice is it does sit up about just over a foot or right around a foot above the ice. And the reason you want to put the box down in the ice is it keeps all the air and stuff from coming in those holes and freezing them up. So what we got instead was we bought some tubes that are going to slide down these holes and seal it off so it doesn't get the cold air up inside the shack. Alright, the other feature on this, it is a toy hauler, so this back end right here comes all the way down and it opens up the back end so we can haul whatever we want. We can even fit our four-wheeler in there. I have an Otter Lodge portable shack which will slide in there also if we want to bring that along. But other times of the year, this ain't going to be used just for ice fishing. So my father-in-law actually just bought this trailer brand new, and he just brought it to Canada on a goose hunt. So it came back full of goose feathers and blood and all that stuff. So it will be used for hunting, and basically in the summer we can just use it for hauling whatever we want. So it is kind of nice at the back end here, drops down. It also has a side door. That's going to be the main entrance to the ice shack. So we'll use that unless we're going to try to unload something out of the back end, just be using the side door. Alright, and it does have two built-in vents already, one at the bottom right and one in the upper left-hand corner. So there will be some airflow going through that, so I won't have to worry about putting in vents for it. Alright, now let's take a look on the inside. As you can see, it has a wood floor in it. Looks like OSB. And if we're going to be ice fishing it, there's going to get a lot of water, slush, snow, whatever on the inside. So we're going to need to waterproof that. So that's actually going to be today's project. So I have some Thompson's water seal that I just put on my deck of my house. And I have a little left, so I'm going to see if I have enough to cover the bottom of this trailer. The side walls already have wood on them. There is no insulation behind it, so you just got metal on the outside and then some looks about 1/4 inch kind of plywood on the walls. The roof is just metal, has no insulation, so we're going to see how warm it gets in there when we heat it up. And my plan is to put insulation on the top, but I don't think we're going to need it on the walls, especially if it's just going to be portable and kind of a day use ice shack. Now this gets really dark in here when it's all closed up, so we're going to need to let some light in. We're going to find probably 2 windows, we're thinking, one for each side, and just cut them in. And that should be enough light, along with some electrical lights that we're going to wire along the top edge. Which brings us to this little V up front. Perfect little spot to build in a little shelf area and little cabinets. So I'm not sure what kind of heater we're going to put in it right now. It's either going to be a vented one, kind of like a camper furnace, or we can just do like a little buddy type heater that's built into the wall. But that we'll need a little more ventilation with that one. We're planning on, in this little shelf area, enclosing it and putting the heater, putting a propane bottle and a battery. We're also planning on possibly using a generator if we stay overnight. So I'll have a wire that runs outside that you can connect to, and it'll plug into probably a battery charger that's hooked to the battery, and then it'll keep the battery charged and power whatever we need. I'm not going to have a whole lot of electricity use other than some lights in the furnace and maybe a fan, stuff like that. Alright, it's been cold and rainy the last week, so I finally got a nice warm day. Well, it's only about 50 degrees, but tomorrow's supposed to be maybe 60, and after that it's just going to get colder. So I figure it's a good time to get out the water sealant and start painting the floor, so let's do that now. Alright, the floor is pretty clean. I did pressure wash this about 2 days ago, and it's nice and dry now. There's a little bit of dust and stuff in here, so I'm going to take a broom, sweep it out nice, and then I'm just going to start putting some water seal over the floor. Alright, it's time to get working on the inside now. So we just took a trip up to Mylacka, Minnesota, to a store called Mylacka Unclaimed Freight. They're the largest dealer of ice castles around. It's kind of like a big Farm and Fleet or Fleet Farm, one of those stores. It's got pretty much everything you'd ever want. But they do have all the parts for an ice castle. So if you're going to build your own, it's a good place to go get the parts. They're all in stock. Some of the things we got are these ice hole covers. So we got 3 of these we're going to put in, and then these are the little tubes, like I said, that since it's not going to sit down in the ice, these little tubes here will go in the holes and it'll seal off down to the ice. We got things like a furnace, so we're going to put in the same furnace that's in the ice castle. This is a 20,000 BTU vented furnace, so we'll show you how to do that when we get to it. And some parts for it, we got some lights, some rattle reels, and got some wiring, and we have a window coming. We got it ordered, so that should be here in about a week. So that's what we got so far, so we'll get started. First thing we're going to do is put these holes in the floor. Alright, putting the holes in the floor is pretty easy. Just pop this cover off here, and it leaves you this nice little ring. You can use as a guide. First thing you want to do is go underneath the trailer, make sure you're not going to be cutting into anything you shouldn't be. You got the floor joists running through there. There might be some wires, the axles down there somewhere. So I already went down there and looked. It's pretty easy. They're pretty far spread apart, and I can tell because on top here they have the screw holes that's holding this wood down, going through those floor joists. So I can tell right where they are without having to mark it underneath. So I'm just go between the screws here, line up the ring where I want it, and then I'm just going to take a marker and trace around the outside of this ring. Alright, the hole is cut. Now take your ring, see if it fits. Beautiful. Now I'm going to secure it down with some stainless steel screws. There's quite a few of them here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 10 screws or so. Now snap the lid on. Looks good. Now 2 more to go. Alright, all 3 holes are installed. I'll show you where I put them. Got one in the far back corner, and I got this one right around the corner from the door. And I got one right up front. Now, in case you haven't seen these things before, I'll show you what they do. You just pull up your cover, you drill your hole, and then you just plop that down in there, and it makes a nice seal down to the ice there, so you don't get any cold air coming up. Alright, next order of business, we're going to work on this front end, the V part there. We're going to build a shelf system in there and put our propane, batteries, furnace, and battery charger, all that kind of stuff up there. So first thing I gotta do, I was contemplating this a little bit. Your spare tire is right up here. Got the little holder here. I took it out for now, but it just takes up way too much room. So I'm gonna remove this bracket and I'm gonna relocate it to the back end. So there's the spare tire. I'm gonna put that bracket on the outside right up here. Yeah, it's not too difficult. Just the nut driver bolts or the screws here just pull right out. There we go. Not too bad. I don't know if you can see there. There it is. Just a little self-tapping screw. So I'll just find the stud on the outside over there and just drill a pilot hole and then screw those right back on. Pretty easy job. Alright, we need to screw this bracket into the stud, so gotta find where the stud is. Just like you do in your house to hang a picture there. I'm just gonna tap on the wall. Pretty easy to tell where it is. Slightly snug so I can still adjust it. Should be straight down for the other ones. Now snug them up. Alright, just 2 more to go and then throw the tire on. Boom. There we go. Got a lot more space on the inside now. Alright, now we're going to install the furnace. And like I mentioned before, this is a vented furnace. It's the same one that you get if you purchase an ice castle. It's the one that comes installed in there, but we bought ours separately. And if you're not familiar with this type of furnace, if you have a forced air furnace in your house, it's really the same thing. It's just a miniature version of that. So we got some vent holes in the top and the side. And there's a fan right here. It sucks in air through there. There's a little heat exchanger in here. Blows across that, and then it blows out this outlet here. There's one on the other side just like it. And that's where your hot air comes out. And I can take off the front panel here so we can get a better look at that too. Let's look at the back first. So here's what the back looks like. Better look at it. You have 2 pipes. One's plastic, that's your intake air for your combustion chamber. And the other one is metal, that's your exhaust air after it burns. And if we just flip it around to the front, you can see in here, this big black piece here is just your heat exchanger. That's what the air blows across and gets hot and comes out both sides of these holes here. And you got this pipe right here, it's coming out the side. That's where we're going to hook our propane hose up to. And then we have just a bunch of wires here. That's going to go to our 12-volt battery and also to our thermostat. With this furnace, you'll get this box of supplies. You'll get some instructions. And for the back, this will be on the outside of the shack. This is where your vent will come out of. So this has got a metal pipe attached to it that'll attach the top exhaust pipe. And we have the little plastic one too, that'll be your intake, which will be screwed onto there. So that'll be sticking through the wall, going to the outside of the shack. We also got these 2 rings here, and they will attach to these holes here so we can hook some ductwork up to it, route your vents wherever you want. And the last thing we got is a little box. It's got a thermostat in it. Alright, probably one of the most important things is where the exhaust comes out of the side. It cannot be mounted on the front side. In this case we have a V front, so it can't even be put on the V. It's got to be on the side. So when you're pulling it down the road, you don't get air blasting up through the exhaust and going up into the furnace. So instructions say it has to be on a side wall or a back wall, as long as there's no air going into it. So the tough part is going to be able to line it up exactly, cut the holes so it fits up through the side nice, perfectly there. So ours is going to go right here. I'm going to put a wall like right here, and initially I was going to have that inside that wall, but since it has to be on the side here, I got to move it out a little bit. So I'm going to install the furnace first, and then I'm going to build the wall around it, where I'm going to house. I got a battery here and a propane tank, and I'll have a battery charger in here too. Then we're going to hook up a little recirculating fan and some switches that I'm going to put some lights on the ceiling. So that's what we're going to do now. Now I'm attempting to line these vents up to cut the hole. So what it is, I just put it on the furnace, marked it out there. Now I know where to go. I'll drill out these 2 screw holes, then I'll know on the outside where to drill. I'll be using this hole saw here, which is slightly bigger than the tube here, so I can drill it and make a slight adjustment if I need to once it's drilled. I think I found a better way. I just put it up there and traced it out from inside the tube there. Now I know where the circle is, and I'll cut it from the inside here. And there's our hole on the outside. plate should fit in just like that. Now all I'll do is I'll just trace out the hole down below and cut that one out. Since the exhaust coming out of the furnace is hot, I don't want to touch in any of this wood, and this will all be enclosed anyway with the furnace, so you won't see any of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a nice square of the wood here, keep it away from any of the exhaust. Alright, so there's what we ended up with. It'll look good from the outside and won't touch any wood on the inside here. Alright, got the holes drilled. This plate fits good. Now I'm just going to secure it with some stainless steel screws. First I'll drill through with a drill and then I'll put the screws in. Alright, now looking back inside, all I did is I took the furnace and I just pushed it on to this back plate here, and they just overlap each other so it's all the pipes are connected. Last thing to do is to secure it down to the floor. There's two little holes in the front here. It's going to take a couple stainless steel screws and screw it right down to the floor. Alright, now our furnaces won't come off the floor. I'm going to hook up this furnace temporarily just to make sure it's running everything before I start closing the whole thing and working on it. So in the box here came with this brass 90 here. Screw right into this port, so since I'm going to be putting a wall right here, I need it to go up and over and not stick straight out. So we'll put that on first. And then I had to buy this hose too. I'll screw the hose on the top of the 90. Alright, and then to hook it to the tank, I got one of these pressure regulators that will screw right onto the end of this hose and it'll attach it to the tank. And that's all what it looks like there. It just has the end to screw into the hose, and then the other plastic in here screws onto the tank. Alright, now I'm going to hook the thermostat up. This is the one that comes with it. Pretty simple. All the way to the left it shuts off, and then it's a little stiff. There. It clicks on, you set it to the temperature, and the furnace will automatically kick on and start running all the way to the, snap it to the off, and it shuts off. This thing just opens up. And you can see there's a screw here and a screw here. One says R, one says W. I guess it doesn't matter which wire. You got a blue and a blue with a white stripe here. So just one on each. And it doesn't, according to instructions, doesn't matter which one goes on which screw. So I'll just do that and snap the cover back on. I'm going to put longer wires on this and secure it to the wall I'm building, but for now we'll just leave it right here and see if it works. Alright, now I'll just put the front cover back on, turn the propane on, and we'll see if it lights. Alright, I'm going to click it on, we'll see what happens. So the fan will kick on first, and then it should ignite. It might take a little bit for the propane to get through the line. There it is. I hear the auto igniter, click, 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 click. Didn't ignite yet, probably not getting the propane yet. Yeah, it's getting warmer. You can see right here, the hole in front, just blowing air out of there. Sucking air in through here, blowing it out through here, it's hot air. Alright, now we know everything works, we're going to start encasing this all in wood and building our little shelf up here. So all I have to do is slide this to the off. It should kick off once it cools down. There, the flame kicked off. Now the fan usually keeps running until it cools off enough, and then the fan will shut down too. Alright, so now putting the ductwork onto the vents. Comes with these little rings here. There's a little tab right there, and then this piece here is a little offset, so What you do is you hook that top piece up in there. That little tab in this hole at the bottom. Then you just turn. That stays on there. And then you take this, this is just dryer vent duct. That will slide over the top of that. And then on the other end we have the actual vent cover here. That'll go on the other end. And you can route them to wherever you want. This one here I'm basically going to have sticking straight out. I'm going to have a wall right here with it coming out there. The other side I'll come around and come out further on the other side, I think. Alright, I cut a piece of plywood that fits here for the wall. Went through a few different designs. My first thought was I was going to have this a solid wall and I was going to have a removable top, so I can just pick the propane and the battery up and just over the top. Then I got thinking, do I really want to carry a 30-pound propane tank and a really heavy battery trying to lean over, pick it up? So what I'm going to do is make a solid top and cut a door in here for easy access. I can slide the propane and a door here for the battery. Just open up and work on that. And this is 42 inches tall. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the top here at 32 inches. So what we're going to end up with is like this lip. So we can store stuff up here and it won't fall out. We might end up with a cargo net or something, I don't know, because we have a couple cots we're going to keep in here too if we want to sleep overnight. So we'll probably have those stuck up in there. But it gives us a nice little storage spot up here. And then I'll frame that in with 2x2s to hold it all straight. And then of course our heater again, I'll just build a little box around that. What I'm going to have to do is put a little door on the front of the box and make to access the front of the furnace too. So what I'm doing now, I'm just going to put some 2x2s on the floor, frame it out, screw it to that, go up the wall, kind of make a frame around this whole thing. And then we also got to find a way to secure that propane tank. I'll probably put some screws in the hooks in the wall and put bungee cords around to hold that in. So that's what we're doing now. Alright, to hold the propane bottle here, I was looking for some way to strap it in. The studs are right here and over here, so they're kind of far away. So I needed to move some straps in farther. So I found these in my shop. They're off a car or something. I don't know what they were, but they work good. So I'm just gonna screw these to the wall. But since I don't have a stud here, what I'm doing is I put those little brackets on. They'll go in and they'll hold to the plywood pretty good. Although it's only about an inch deep in there, so I had to cut the screws to exactly like an inch so I could get it in there. It just, when you fold these up, it just fits, and you gotta push it pretty hard and then it pops out. But this one works. So then I'm gonna take a tie strap and a ratchet strap probably, and then just hold the propane tank there. We'll see how that works. Just enough room to play with. There, got one in. I think that'll hold pretty good. Alright, now I got this single bank green battery charger. Just gotta find a place for here in it. I'll screw this down, and then I'm gonna put a little outlet on the right here. A little outlet here for the wall. I'll screw it through so I can put the cord directly through. So when I pull up my garage, I can just pull the cord out, plug it in, charge it up. Or if we're on the lake, I can have a generator running out there, plugged in the charger, keeping things fully charged. Well, I haven't even opened this up yet, so let's take a look. Yeah, that's all it is. Got some screw holes on the flange on each side, so we screw it to the wall or to the floor. We'll see here where we have some room. That works good. I ended up just putting it on the wall right above the battery. That way the cords are right there, hooked to the battery. Now I'll just put a little 3.5 inch hole through here to put that other piece on, so we can put the cord outside. Alright, there's our hole on the outside. And what I did is I took some butyl tape, put it around the flange here. It helps keep out the water from coming inside. Just slide it in like that. Straighten it up. Push it on. I'll just take 3 stainless screws and screw it on. Alright, it's all installed, screwed on. Now when you want the cord, just flip this up, pull your cord out, plug it in, and then all you gotta do is lift this little door up here and it snaps shut like that. And can plug it in when I get home or plug a generator in it on the lake. Alright, I just put the front wall in. I just cut out a piece of 1/2-inch plywood and I framed it out on the back side with 2x2s. And I cut an opening down here so we can have the propane hose and wiring and ductwork go through here. And this big hole here is so we can slide the propane tank in and out. I'll have a door on that. I also have a little door down here, and that'll be to access the battery. And now I'm just going to go and kind of frame out the inside there so I can put a top on it and run probably the ductwork for the heater hose here and probably run some wiring around to the battery. I bought a switch panel here to turn on the lights and furnace and that stuff, but it won't be here for about a week, so I'll just kind of run the wires to it and then hook it up once it gets here. Alright, so those 2 holes are going to be for, I have this computer fan back behind the wall there, just to circulate air when the furnace is not running. The other side will be for our ductwork to come up from the furnace up to here. So I'll get those put in now before I get too much stuff back here, and I can still easily work back there. I'll take a quick look at what we just did. We got the top vent in and the fan over here. I put a little wire mesh cover over the top so you don't stick any fingers in there. Looking on the back side, it's just the computer fan. I put 4 bolts through, and then I got the 3 wires. I tested out, it's supposed to be high and low, but I can only get the high to work, so I'll have to look into that. And there's the back side of the furnace, just coming from the bottom up and around to the top vent. And there's the overview of what the whole thing looks like. Now I'm going to cut the top to this front piece. It's a little tricky because it's a triangle. So I'll show you what I did to cut it so it fits in there pretty good. So all I did is take a piece of cardboard, thin piece like out of a shoebox or something like that, and put it up there, and I just keep trimming it away with the scissors until I get it to fit nice. So I got the nice top like that, and then the same thing for each corner. I put it in there and trimmed it up. This one's for the front, but so I had 3 pieces, 1 for each corner and 1 for the front. Then I measured it's 25.5 inches from here to the front and 67 inches along the long side here. And then basically cut the triangle out of a piece of plywood. Alright, here's the part where I screwed up. I just so happen to have a really nice piece of 3/4 inch red oak plywood left over from my camper build, and it was just the right size, so I cut that out 67 by 25.5, and then I drew a triangle on it. So here it is, and when I drew the triangle up here, I put my top corner so it rounded off the front of the triangle, but where I screwed up is it actually took 1.5 inches off the length here, the width, so it ended up being too short. So what I did is I took the piece I cut and stuck it back together. I glued it up and put some pocket holes in there to hold it together. I would have taken a new board, but I didn't have any other wood, and this is a really nice piece of plywood, and I didn't want to waste it, so I think this will work. I'll flip it over here, sand it down, and you'll probably hardly be able to notice it. Alright, I just dropped in the board, and it looks like it fits about as good as it's going to get. Nice and sturdy. It should be able to hold a lot of weight. And I got a 10-inch lip right here, so we can stack stuff in here, and it won't fall out. Now I'm going to enclose this furnace here, and just so I'll have to route the hose through there, and I'm going to take these wires, put some extensions on them. The power ones I'll just run up here to our power switch, and the thermostat ones I think I'm going to run all the way around the back and put the thermostat on this other side here. Keep it away from the hot vent so it doesn't mess up the thermostat at all. So to make this nice and neat, I'm going to put this plastic conduit around all the wires, run it up and around through there. Alright, for now, until we get that switch panel hooked up here, this is what we got. Just the electrical running from the furnace into here. It's coming out the back side, just going up. Switch panel will be there, and then I got the thermostat wires running underneath the little ledge over there. Go all the way around. Right there, and then I just popped it through the wall. Alright, now it's time to tackle this enclosure around our furnace. The main thing is that we have a vent coming straight out, and then we have a door in front so we can access the front of the furnace. And I think kind of like I did up here, I'm going to bring it up a little bit higher and maybe even put a little cover on it. I have like a little storage box on top of here. Yeah, I think that'll work good. Let's see what we can do. Alright, I cut a few boards here. I'm just kind of designing it as I go. So I'm thinking one on the floor down here, one up against the wall, one here. I'll have a piece of 1/2-inch plywood come up, then I'll put a bottom in it, and then have a little bit of a lip sticking up to kind of like here where I can throw a bunch of stuff in there if I want. Front, I'll probably put another piece of plywood up, but cut it in half with a hinge so the bottom can flip up and we can have access to that. I'm also going to have to cut a hole in here with this mesh here on it so it'll allow air to go in and the fan to draw air in and blow out. And the thing with this trailer is they have caulk all along the edges and stuff, so that's why on here I cut a little 45-degree notch so it fits up against the wall nicely. And then I gotta cut the hole for the vent here to come out. Alright, we'll start screwing together and see what happens. Alright, here's what I got so far. Kind of frame it in. I'll put another one across there. Put the top on, put the side on. Just want to let you show you here that the caulking stuff there makes it hard to get right up next to the wall. So it does kind of start to stick out a little bit as it comes up. Because the walls, something's not exactly even there, but and then right here it starts to curve in. So I had to slice a little piece off of there so it'll sit up without hitting it right there. But it's starting to come along here. That's enough for today. I'll come back tomorrow and start finishing that up. Alright, we're making some progress. I got the top piece cut out. Add a little more to the frame back here. And just goes on top. And then here's our side piece. See on the back side there, I put that piece of mesh, put it on our little duct piece. It looks like, so this will go right on the front. Alright, here's the finished furnace piece. Got this little cubby hole up top here, holds your beer and your tape measure. And then on the front, here's our air intake for the furnace. Got one outlet there. And then the front, I put a hinged door, so I just like that. Now we have access to the furnace. I just drilled a hole in the floor there to put that notch into. And look what just arrived today. We got our switch panel. So that's going to be going right here. Alright, so I got the switch panel off Amazon for about $45. It's got the regular cigarette lighter there. It's got USB ports there, voltmeter, and 6 switches here. So if I look in the back, it's got 3 inline fuses. So you can see you got 3 red. Each one of those goes to one of these top either cigarette lighter, voltmeter, or the USB ports. So one for each, and then each one is fused with 15 amps. And then from each one of those goes down and feeds 2 of these switches. So this one up top here feeds the first 2, the middle feeds these 2, the last one feeds those 2. Then we also got a blue and a yellow here. And since these switches are lit up, these are just power for the lights for the switches. And then we got the one blade there, so that's what you connect your positive to, then out to whatever you're going to power. And as far as the negatives go, I'm going to have a little negative bar off the side where I plug all those into. And then I think there's only one. I'll find it here. There's one wire here that goes to the negative on the switch panel. So here's the diagram that comes with it. So as you can see, the 3 fuses up top, and then go down to the switches here. And then these ones right there go to the lighting. And that one black was for the negative. So fairly easy. Just gotta take some time here to hook up all the wires. Comes with this little gasket here, so I'm just put it up there, trace it out, and that'll be a nice template to cut out the hole for the switch plate. Ah, beautiful. Looks nice. All right, first thing we're going to do is bring the wires from the battery up and over to the switch panel here. And because the switch panel has a bunch of lights on it, the voltmeter, it basically stays on all the time. It's always lit up, and to keep from draining the battery when we're not using it, I'm going to install one of these. It's a battery disconnect switch. So I'm going to install that right here, right above the battery. And that way when we're done using it, all you do is you turn this little key here, pull it out, and it disconnects all the power to pretty much everything. So we're going to put that in first, and then from here we're going to run the wires over to there. So that's what we're going to do right now. Alright, see, the weird thing about this is it really doesn't leave you much room on the side for a lip to grab, so it might be might show a little on the corner here. Yeah, and a little big, so it does show a little crack there. Yeah, just have to live with it, I guess. All right, I just got this new battery tray in the mail, so we're gonna use that to secure the battery down here. And before we do that, I want to talk about the ventilation fan. So what I put in here is a computer fan. It's a fairly large one, and from what I understand, it's kind of a popular thing to do with these homemade ice shacks at the Malacca Unclaimed Freight. Where we bought this from, they said that's what pretty much everyone's putting in now, so we put one in. Now you'll see them come in a few varieties. Some just have 2 wires, like a black and a red. Some have 3, some have 4. This one came with 3 wires, so we have a black, a red, and a yellow. And according to the guy there, which we thought meant was you have 2 wires for a high and low speed. That's not true. When I was hooking it up, I found that only the black and red matter. When you hook that up, the fan goes, the yellow does nothing. Turns out it goes to your computer motherboard, and it can tell its RPMs or whatever, it just gives it information. So what I did is I just cut that one right off. Don't even need that one, so throw that one away. So just got a positive, negative, hook it to battery, and it goes. You hook it to a 12-volt battery though, and this thing runs so hard that it shakes the whole place. So I'll show you. I'll hook it up quick, and you can see. All right, so I got the 2 ends on here. I'm just going to hook it, just touch it to the battery, and you'll see how fast this thing goes. Okay, that's way too fast. It rattles the whole thing. We want to slow this thing down. So what I did is I went on Amazon. You can buy one of these potentiometers, right? So basically it just drops the voltage so you can control the speed of the fan. And you're going to see it's going to come with so 3 wires, a black, a red, and a blue. And so I haven't hooked this up yet, but it says you're gonna hook the red one to the positive. So hook it to the red wire from the fan and to the battery. The blue one goes to the negative on the fan, and the black one goes to the negative on the battery. So I'm gonna hook that up. The other issue with one of these, if you get one of these, there, you pull that off, you got about a 1/4 inch there to install it. I got a 1/2 inch plywood, so it won't fit in there. So what I did is I drilled a hole with the hole saw here, just big enough to fit this through it right there. And then what I did is I took another hole saw and cut out a piece of metal, just a nice little piece of metal. So we'll install this on there like that, and then we'll just cover that hole like that. So I'm going to put all this together, put the battery tray down there, hook this up, and finish hooking up some of the wires to the switch panel. And I'll come back and we'll see if everything works like it's supposed to. Alright, I got everything wired up except the ceiling lights, so I'll give you a look at what I did here. Alright, there's where the battery is. I'll have a door here soon. Got the little tray for it. This battery's so big it barely fit in the tray. You see it's bulging at the sides and the little knobs wouldn't fit in top, so I had to put some little nuts on there. And then we got the disconnect, thermostat, and the potentiometer, fan. So if you look on the back side, I have a mess of wires there, but got the fan there. The wires going over to our switch panel. Here's our disconnect switch right there. Potentiometer, and then it goes down to the battery. And then we got the battery charger right there. Looking on the other side, here's our switch panel. I know it looks like a mess of wires, but really it's not that complicated. This will be the, we got one switch here. I'll run wires up here to the lights. And there's our switch panel, so it's all off. So all I gotta do is put in the disconnect. So it's not usable without this, so put this in here. Let's see, like that. Give it a little twist. And now switch panel lights up. And this will be the ceiling lights. This here is the furnace, I think. And then this here is the fan. I'll have to label them so I know what they are. So let's see if it works. Turn this on. Here goes the fan. So now it doesn't have to roar so loud, just turn it down to it's, they're just barely on. And the furnace, all I should do is turn that on. You can hear it kick on. Got some nice air blowing out of there. And what I like about this is it gives you the voltage readout too. Looks like I need to charge it a little bit. And then the furnace fires up. There it goes. You can feel the heat coming out already. So yeah, everything's working just like it's supposed to. So I just wired up the lights and then I can start putting in the insulation. I just turned this on earlier and it did heat up this place real nice. This is a new furnace, so I had to burn off some of the paint where it has a little smell in here, but that'll go away here after running it for about 10 minutes. And yeah, I think it'll work out good. I got the lights all wired. You can see it just come out of the corner there, up the wall, along the ceiling, and I spliced it in right there. So we got some details here, and then it's running down the wall again, and two more here. So I'll have two sets of the LED lights. But first we got to put up the insulation. And before I do that, I'm going to put these two doors on here, the propane door and the battery door. Alright, there it is. The front's all done. Just possibly stain it or paint it in the future, but I don't think I'm going to right now. Got all the doors on. Put these little latches on each of them so it's shut. Open up, get to the propane. Down here, I put a little vent for the battery door. Same deal. Battery, and there's all our switches there, and then got the top on here. Alright, we had the styrofoam cut and into the ceiling. I was gone for this, but my father-in-law came over and he just cut it. It's you can see it's just 1 inch pink styrofoam, and just cut it fit between here. He did have a few issues with this because these metal frames up here, they weren't all exactly the same distance apart, so You know, he cut one and thought it would be the same, but he had to measure each one individually and make sure it fit up there perfectly, because they were up to a ½ inch off from each other. Here's the plywood we're going to put in there. It's just the 1/4 inch plywood, nothing special. Here's what I'm going to secure it up there with. I got these 1-inch panhead screws with a drill point on them. So instead of pre-drilling all the holes, I figured these drill points should go right through the metal beams up here and save us a little bit of time. And so that plywood's going to cover 2 of these beams, and then when the 2 pieces of plywood meet, I'm going to put this wooden trim. It's about 1 inch, 1.25 inches wide, and we'll put it right up there. Then I'll just screw right through the middle of this, and it should hold up both ends and make the seam look a little nicer. Alright, just got 2 more items in the mail. Got our dual carbon monoxide and propane detector from Safety Alert. So I'll have to wire that in. And our cover for our spare tires here. So let's put that on now. It looks like it might be a hair big. Thought I got the right size. That'll do. It's only about $10 on Amazon or so. Make your spare tire look real nice. Alright, now we're going to start putting in the window. This is from Redneck Trailer Supplies. We originally went to the dealer that we got the trailer from to buy this, and they were going to charge $200, and it was going to take several weeks to get here because they were back ordered and all this stuff. So we went right to the Redneck Supplies and got it in a couple days, and it was only $100, so we got it half the cost. You do have to buy this trim piece right here. That's like extra $17 or something. The tinted window, 42 by 18. Got a little handle here to slide the window open. Otherwise, it's just got a screen here. We can pull this out. And it's got a slider window. We can open like that. So I got some leftover styrofoam from doing the ceiling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this on here, trace it out, make a template so I can put it up against the trailer and have a template to cut out the trailer with. Okay, there are no instructions that come with this, and there's very little information you can even find online. But here's what I see so far. I got this trim ring here that goes on here, and if you measure that, it's about 1 3/4 inches. Well, the trailer wall is only 1 inch thick, and then it's got 1/4 inch plywood and then the metal on the outside. So this is going to be a little too wide, so we're probably going to have to build it up with some kind of ring around here on the inside to widen it out a little, so this will pinch it closed. And since this has no screw holes on the outer ring, what it uses this trim ring here with these holes. It screws down into there and it pulls it together, but I'm trying to see where the screw holes actually go. There ain't a whole lot to screw into there. There's one little lip right there, which I'm assuming that's where the screws go. So it isn't supplied with any screws, so I'll have to find some screws that are the right length once I get it put together. Right, the nice thing about cutting this template is I can take this ring, put it in here and make sure it fits before I make the actual cut on the trailer. So there, that's what it'll look like once it's on the trailer. I check the back side, make sure it's cut like it's supposed to be. And I can just use the styrofoam as the template to cut on the trailer. This window's just wide enough to go between 2 studs. I'm going to have to cut off this one center stud. So got one here, cut this one out so make sure it fits right between those. And since the trailer ain't exactly level, I was thinking, oh, I'll use a level, but that ain't going to work. So I got this little metal trim here. I just measured up 4 inches from that so I can have a nice straight line at the bottom, so the window will be straight in here. So let's get her lined up right where we want it, right between the 2 studs. This board's not exactly straight. It kind of bows out a little bit, so that'll be a bit of a challenge to get that straight. Looks good. Now to cut it out with the jigsaw. First, you just need to make a starter hole so you can get the jigsaw in there. Now the question is my jigsaw long enough to go all the way through? I got just short metal blade, but I have longer ones that are more or less made for wood, but we'll see if this goes through. Yeah, looks like it is cutting. I was banging a little against the sheet metal on the outside, so I just put out a little bit longer blade. I didn't want to cut through this stud here, so I might have to get out some other tools there to cut through that. Yeah, that's more like it. We got some wires in there. I don't know where those are going to. We have a light wired up there. The tail light should be underneath. I wonder if there's markers if I look. All right, way up in the corner, they got one little red light. Didn't even notice I had that light there, so we're gonna have to patch that wire up and route it around there, so it still works. All right, back to cutting. All right, we did it. File down those edges there. Well, let's see if the ring fits. Top and bottom look okay, just the edge. To make it a little more rigid, I cut these the template I had, fit around this beam. I'm going to shove it in between the wall here to give it make it a little more solid. Earlier in the video, I was wondering where I screw into this window from the trim ring, and I took a number 8 screw that's 3/4 inch long, and I screwed in this little lip on the outer edge where I thought it might go, and it screwed in nicely, so I think we're good to go there. Right now, to seal up the outer edge of the window here on the outside, instead of using caulk, I'm going to use butyl tape. You'll often find it on campers. It comes in a little roll, kind of like tape, and it's basically just a flexible putty you can put around. It does the same thing as like silicone, but it's not as messy. So I'm going to start wrapping that all the way around here, so when I press the window up against it, it seals it up nice. And I'll put the seam at the bottom here and making sure I overlap it. Just tear it off. There we go. All right, I'm ready to put the window in. We talked about the thickness of the window earlier, and it was too thick, so I took a couple of panels off the ceiling here. I had a couple leftover pieces of plywood and glued them together, so made a little 1/2 inch spacer here. I just screwed it all the way around. And then I put the trim ring on here, just kind of taped it on. I'm going to attempt to do this by myself, so if you have another person, it is the preferred way, but I'm going to give it a shot here. I'm not sure how this is going to go. There we go. So we can do it from the inside. Just if you have the sliding window open, you can grab the outside of the window so that helps. There we go. I can get at least one screw in. It'll help hold it. There's one screw. Here's a closer shot. You can see it, how it screws into that little lip on the edge there. Kind of hard to see that little channel in there, but the light of my drill helps see it. That's sandwiching nicely. That little beam's right here too, so it's a little fat right there. Hold it kind of tight. So I'm just going to go on the outside and make sure the window's lined up. There's no gaps or in the metal there where we can see. Here's a shot of the window from the outside, and so far it's looking pretty good. You got your butyl tape there sealing it up. I don't see any open spots there. Seems to be sealing fine. Yeah, it looks good all the way around, so now I just got to tighten it up. Alright, that went in way easier than I was expecting it to. I got all the screws here started on the trim ring. Now let's just tighten them up nice and evenly back and forth, kind of like when you're putting on a tire or something. Do a star pattern, kind of suck it in nice and evenly till it's nice and tight. It's just barely on and still it seems to be nice and tight already, so I haven't even tightened any of them up. So I'm just going to go around and do that. So what do you think of the window?
Good.
Yeah? Did I do a good job?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I'm doing a good job on this.
Thanks. Well, there's the completed window. Shut the slider and everything, and looks good. So here's something that the dealer told us. There's these little plugs here at the top and at the bottom. So whichever way you install it, you're supposed to pull these plugs out on the bottom side. That way if there's any water that comes in the frame somehow, it comes out and it'll have a space to drain out instead of going down inside of your trailer. So we'll just pull those little vents out of here. Just kind of rubber, they just pull right out. Here's what it looks like from the outside. I just gotta, I'll let that butyl tape set a little bit and I'll come through and just trim off the edge. And if I feel like it, I might put a bead of caulker on there, see how cold it is. But there it is. All right, I got the furnace running, it's nice and toasty in here. And that's kind of the whole point, it's gonna be nice and warm, so we're not gonna need our jackets when we're in here, so we need a place to hang them. So I made up this little board here. It's about 5 hooks from Menards or Home Depot or something. And I had a piece of leftover marine plywood, 3/4 inch thick. So I just screwed these onto it, and then I got some of these bigger screws that I'll put through the board into the metal studs. The key is to make this long enough to cross these 2 of these studs in here, so we'll screw into those. So let's do that now. Screws on these hooks were a little bit longer than the board, so I left them kind of loose, and I'm going to screw them in the rest of the way. Should puncture the 1/4 inch panel in there a little bit. Well, let's test it out. It's getting kind of toasty in here anyway. Nice big hooks for big coats and overalls, whatever we need. And a little spot on the floor here where I got no holes, so good place to hang everything. Alright, this arrived late, so now we're going to install the safety alert propane and carbon monoxide detector. And I said, well, the only spot I got is about right here, so cut that in now, and then I'll have to run 2 new wires from our switch panel on over to this side. So I'll have to undo the one I already did there and stick some new wires in. To finish that front part of the ceiling, I'm just going to use the board that I cut out for the shelf down below and use that as a template. And I'll cut out the styrofoam and then do the same thing with the plywood. And then it should fit that triangle nice. And hopefully the first time it'll fit. All right, got the last piece in right there. All right, we got one final item to add. We got 2 rattle reels to put up. All right, just gotta screw this bracket to the wall. It came with these little black screws, and they would not penetrate the metal stud. So we're gonna get rid of that screw and go with the only drill point I had was these 1-inch pan head screws I used for the ceiling. So we're gonna use that to attach it. That goes in real easy compared to the other one. Alright, now it's simple as just plopping that in there. Alright, before we call this project done, there's one more issue I got to deal with, which is driving me nuts. Spring here for the door, every time you move, can't stand that noise. So what I did when I was working on it, I just had a light hanging on it to hold it down so it wouldn't bang. So my idea is to take a little piece of foam, see if I can't shove it in between there, pat it a little, should squish enough, shouldn't affect the spring. I don't even know if I can get it in there, but I'm gonna give it a try. There it goes. Get it in there. Alright, it's in there. Did dampen a little bit. I noticed, depending where that foam is, it might still hear it some, but a little bit. Better than it was, but maybe I'll just have to get something heavy and just kind of hang it on here when we're fishing. If you know how to fix that, let me know. Alright, I believe I'm done. I did all the stuff that I was planning on doing. It's just pretty much a mess in here right now, so I'm going to clean it up nice, get the vacuum in here, make it look real nice, and we'll do a final reveal. And then we'll come back and we'll add up all the costs that we put into this and get a total that this whole thing cost us. All right, there you have it, the completed trailer. I even had a chance to try it out once already, and I gotta say, I really love this trailer. There's only a couple items I think we're gonna add on to it. After using it, I noticed that I could really use some cup holders, so I might get some of those fold down kind that come out of the wall, just put one at each station. Already bought a little ice fishing rod holder, so we'll probably put that in here somewhere. And I'm thinking I might drill a second hole in the floor, one kind of maybe next to that back hole there, because I use an underwater camera and it'd be nice to have a hole next to it that I can put the camera down and not interfere with my lines. All right, now for the big question, how much did this all cost? Well, start with the trailer. We bought the trailer for $3,000, and you can buy these trailers at places like Fleet Farm, which we actually looked at, and they were about $3,500 for one similar to this, but the ceilings weren't as tall. So we actually got this one from a trailer dealer and got it for cheaper, and it's a better trailer. It's got a little bit higher ceilings in it and more accessories in it. It wasn't actually brand new. Some guy bought it in Florida, drove it up to Minnesota, and then traded it in. So it's slightly used, but got a good deal on it. I know it doesn't look like there's a whole lot in here, but it kind of adds up when you add a few bigger items. So let's go over the cost now. So let's go with all the wood we put in here. So we got plywood on the ceilings, the trim, this front piece here, all that stuff came to a total of $124. And then the insulation in the ceiling was $48. The furnace, that was our big ticket item. That was $412. And we actually got quite a good deal on it going to that Mylaka unclaimed freight. If you go online, you might $500–600. They'll probably find them for in there. The window, said it was $200 from the dealer, but we actually got it right to the manufacturer for only $100 plus $17 for the trim kit, so $117 I think it was. For the holes in the floor, we just need those hole covers and the sleeves that go down into it, and 3 of those cost $87. Now the electrical, lots of parts to the electrical. So it doesn't look like a whole lot here, but we actually have got the switch panel, the cutoff switch there, the carbon monoxide detector, the fan, got lights, got the conduit, wires, and the little hatch on the outside that we run the cable through. Anyway, all that came to $214. Tire cover on the outside there is only $13. All the screws and hardware, we got all these latches and handles and stainless steel screws, all that kind of stuff, was a total of $69. And then we put in 2 rattle reels for $26. All right, there's a few things I have in here that I didn't have to buy. I already had them. And one is the battery. I have the biggest AGM battery that Cabela sells, and it was $250. So I didn't include that in the price. If you don't have a battery to put in here, you can always buy one. You don't have to go that expensive. You can get a decent one for about $80 that will do the job. And we have a 30-pound propane tank in here. If you don't have one of those, that'll run you about $60. And then the Thompson's water seal I put on the floor is $25 a can, which I already had left over from my porch. So if I include the water seal in it, the total cost of all this stuff was $1,135. And if you buy the same exact battery I have in the propane tank, it'll run you $1,445. So if you have to buy the trailer too, if you don't have one of those, just add $3,000 to the price. So total, this whole thing, including the battery, propane, all the stuff that I already had at home that I didn't have to pay for, is going to be $4,445. So just under $4,500, you can have this whole setup, which is way cheaper than an ice castle. And like I said, if you already have some of this stuff at home, maybe you have some plywood laying around, a battery, propane tank, all that stuff, it can run you maybe right around $4,000 for this whole setup if you got the extra parts. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of long, but I wanted to go into good detail here just so you could see how I did everything. You can always skip around through the video and see the parts that you want to watch. I know I haven't saw much on like these furnaces and stuff, so I tried to go in a little more detail on that. Now, when starting this project, I did some research online, and I didn't find a whole lot of information. Mostly people are turning these cargo trailers into campers and stuff like that, and didn't see much for ice houses. I did see stuff on forums, a lot of people asking about it, and since there wasn't a whole lot of information, I thought I'd do this long video, very detailed, and kind of show you everything I did. All right, I'd love to know if you've done this project before, if you turned a cargo trailer into an ice house and what you did to it. And I'm also curious if you like what I did here, or is there anything you do different? It's my first time doing it, so just kind of planned it as we went, but so far I really like it. And yeah, just leave any comments below. Love to hear from you. All right, everybody, thanks for watching.
We're going fishing. Ice fishing.
All right, we're gonna try out the new shack for the first time, heading to White Bear Lake. All right, going in. Here he comes. Oh, look at you caught one!
Woohoo!
Nice job, buddy.
Good deal.
Good job. We did it.
We did it.